Welcome to Cheater Confessions. Let's get started with today's story. My name is Trevor. I've always believed betrayal doesn't hit you like a car crash. It creeps in like a slow gas leak, quiet, odorless, until the whole place blows. Nancy and I had been married 6 years. The first 3 were solid, not perfect, but real. We had morning routines, movie marathons, dumb inside jokes. Somewhere along the line, that started to fade. Not all at once, just little pieces at a time. She got a new position at her firm, a better salary, more responsibility, more late nights. I didn't question it. I wanted to support her. "Big meeting today?" I'd ask casually as she grabbed her keys. "Yeah, huge," she'd say, not even looking up. And after a while, that's how most of our mornings sounded. The answers got shorter. Her touch disappeared. The only time she really smiled was when she was texting on her phone. Still, I held it down. Took care of the essentials, made sure she had what she needed, kept my doubts to myself. Then came the baby talk, or the lack of it. We'd been trying for a year, off and on. At some point, Nancy stopped tracking ovulation, stopped scheduling doctor visits. When I asked if she still wanted to keep trying, she just shrugged and said, "Let's not force anything." That was the first real red flag. Not because she was tired or grieving, those would have made sense, but because she was blank, distant, like someone who had already disconnected emotionally but was still physically showing up out of habit. And yet, just when I was starting to accept that maybe we were slipping too far apart to fix it, she flipped the switch. She came home one night with takeout from my favorite restaurant spot. "I missed you," she said, leaning in and kissing me like it was the most natural thing in the world. Then she curled into me that night, like she hadn't been sleeping with her back to me for months. I should have asked her why. I should have questioned the sudden change, but I didn't. Because when you've been starved for affection, even a crumb looks like a meal. The next few days were strange. Nancy became someone else almost overnight. She was present, engaged. She started laughing at my jokes again, the real kind, not just polite noise. She left handwritten notes in my lunch bag, sent me texts during the day like, "Thinking about you," or "Can't wait to see you tonight." It felt like emotional whiplash. The version of her I'd been missing for months was suddenly back, like she'd never gone cold. I didn't know whether to enjoy it or brace for the fallout. One night, I came home and the lights were low, candles on the kitchen counter. She'd cooked, actual food, not just microwaved leftovers. I didn't want to ruin the moment, but I couldn't help myself. "What changed?" She held my gaze for a second longer than usual, then looked down at her glass. "I think I forgot what we had," she said. "I was so deep in my own head. I didn't see how far I'd pulled away from you, and I don't want to lose you." It sounded almost too rehearsed, but it was what I wanted to hear, so I just nodded and squeezed her hand. That was enough, for now. For the next few weeks, we got close again. She folded my laundry again, made my coffee before I woke up, kissed me as I left for work. It felt like a reset. Then she sat me down one night on the couch. Her hands trembled slightly as she held a small test strip. "I took a test," she said. "It's positive." I froze. We hadn't been trying. Not really. We hadn't even had that conversation again. Still, I smiled. I kissed her forehead. I said all the things a husband should say. But deep down, something shifted. And in the back of my mind, something quiet started whispering, "Are you sure it's yours?" We didn't share the news with other people that night. Nancy said she wanted to wait until after the first scan to tell anyone, said she didn't want to jinx it. I nodded, agreed, but deep down, I wasn't waiting out of caution. I was waiting out of doubt. The timing didn't sit right. I did the math more than once, backtracked the dates. If what she said was true, it would have happened during one of those early reconnection nights, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it lined up too neatly, too conveniently. I tried not to obsess, but I noticed things. She took her phone everywhere, even into the bathroom, changed her passcode, stopped leaving it charging on the nightstand like she used to. Calls came in and she'd silence them before I could glance over. Those actions weren't enough to confront her, but it was enough to make me start watching her closely. Still, I needed more. So I reached out to someone who might have some information I needed. Her younger sister, Maya. We met for coffee one afternoon. I kept it casual but direct. "How's Nancy been with you lately?" Maya stirred her drink slowly. "Busy. kinda distant. Did she say why? She just blamed it on work, Maya said. You know how intense she can get with projects. I nodded. Does she mention anyone at work by name? Maya thought for a second. Curtis, her manager. She used to talk about him all the time. Meetings, deadlines, little stories. Used to? Yes. That stopped a few weeks ago. Which honestly surprised me. Why? She usually keeps going about him when we talk on the phone or in person. I figured maybe they had a falling out, or he stressed her out. I didn't reply, because I remembered that name. Curtis. Brief mentions, always light, always casual. But she'd scrubbed him from every sentence lately. And people don't stop talking about someone unless there's something they don't want you to notice. That night, I didn't sleep much. I sat in the living room for hours, replaying everything Maya said. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was hiding in plain sight. By morning, I knew I had to see for myself. I started looking for her old tablet. I searched everywhere, drawers, boxes, under the bed, until I finally saw it, tucked at the back of the hallway closet in a small box of old chargers and cables. I remembered she used to sync it with her cloud account, mostly for reading and emails. I didn't open anything. Instead, I drove across town to a small tech shop I'd passed a few times. The guy behind the counter looked up as I walked in. I held out the tablet and asked if he could recover deleted files. He nodded, took it from me, and told me to come back in an hour. I walked around the block, bought a coffee I didn't drink. When I came back, he slid the tablet across the counter and tapped the screen. I paid, picked it up, and left without saying anything. I didn't drive home right away, just sat in the car staring at the steering wheel. Then I opened it. Photos, videos, messages, all of it. I scrolled slowly, each swipe heavier than the last. There were texts with Curtis, dozens, dates, times, plans. But the one that broke me came a month before Nancy told me she was pregnant. A message from her to him. I'm late. You sure it's not his? We hadn't touched in weeks. It's yours. My vision blurred. I blinked hard, trying to stay grounded. Everything made sense now. The sudden affection, the way she pulled me back into bed, the way she clung to me. It wasn't reconciliation. It was cover, a story she could point to later if questions came up. There's a moment when you stop being angry, when the fire burns out and you're just left with cold, hard truth. That's when decisions get made. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to beg. I was going to end it with the same control she thought she had over me. And I was going to do it public. About a week after the scan, I brought it up over dinner. We should do something, I said, cutting into my steak. For the baby. Nancy looked up. Something like what? A baby shower, I said. Just close friends and family. Low-key. You deserve to be celebrated. She blinked, surprised, then smiled like I'd just said exactly what she needed to hear. You'd really plan that? I'll help. We'll keep it simple. Catered brunch, some music, few decorations. Whatever makes you feel special. She reached across the table, squeezed my hand. Thank you. That means a lot. She looked happy, relaxed. And in that moment, I knew for certain. She had no idea what was coming. Over the next few days, I played the role, helped her pick a theme, emailed a decorator, smiled while she talked about balloons and cake flavors. But behind the scenes, I was preparing something else. The week before the shower, I met with my lawyer. I laid out the evidence, screenshots, messages, synced cloud data, timelines. We drafted the divorce papers with full documentation, adultery, deception, paternity fraud, no hesitation, no delay. The night before the shower, I printed the most damning texts, folded them neatly, placed them in an envelope. The morning of the event, I was up early, helped set the tables, checked the guest list, greeted her parents, smiled at coworkers, shook hands with people whose names I didn't remember. Nancy looked radiant, that fake glow people mistake for joy. She touched my arm, called me babe like we were still in love, and I let her. The cake came out around noon. Everyone clapped. Nancy stood beside me, hands resting on her belly, glowing for the cameras, grinning like nothing had ever been wrong. Say something, someone called out from the back. I nodded, took one small step forward. Thanks everyone for being here, I said, calm and steady. It means a lot to celebrate something this important, even if things aren't always what they seem. The smiles in the room started to fade. Conversations died down. I reached into my jacket and pulled out a white envelope. "This is for Nancy," I continued. She let out a confused laugh. "What's this?" I handed it to her. "The truth." She opened it. Her fingers slowed the moment she saw the first page. Her eyes scanned quickly, then stopped. She didn't say anything. Didn't have to. Her face told the whole story. She stood there frozen, gripping the pages like they were burning through her hands. Her mouth parted slightly like she wanted to speak, but nothing came. A few guests leaned forward. Others glanced at each other, awkward, uncertain. A silence filled the room that wasn't just quiet. It was loaded. "Trevor," she whispered. "Read it," I said. "All of it." She didn't turn another page. She didn't need to. Her eyes had already landed on the part where she told Curtis the baby was his. I turned to the guests. "For those who don't know, the child Nancy's carrying isn't mine. It belongs to her boss. The one she said was just a mentor. The one she's been sleeping with for over a year." The room shifted. Gasps. Chairs creaked. Someone covered their mouth. A few looked down, unsure where to look. "The divorce papers are already filed," I said, steady as ever. I looked around the room. Nancy stepped toward me, her voice low, cracked. "Please, not like this. Can we just talk?" I took a slow step back. "I'm done talking." I looked around once more, at her parents, silent, stunned. Then I looked at Nancy. No anger, no tears, just a woman who got caught trying to make a fool of a man who was 2 steps ahead. "I hope he shows up for you," I said, "because I won't." And I walked out. I didn't go home that night, just booked a hotel across town and turned off my phone. By morning, the messages had started. Missed calls, voicemails, a few mutual friends trying to make sense of what happened. Maya called 3 times. I didn't answer any of them. There was nothing to explain. 2 days later, I went back to the house. Nancy was gone. Her clothes, her toiletries, the framed photos from the hallway, taken. No note, no apology. I stood in the kitchen and looked around. It didn't feel like relief. Not yet. Just silence. A clean space where the damage had stopped spreading. That week, the divorce paperwork went through. My lawyer sent her the final set. She didn't fight, didn't call, just sent back a signed copy with her name at the bottom. A few days later, I ran into Maya. She looked tired. "She's staying with a friend," she said. "She's not doing great." I sighed deeply. "She made her choices. She knows that." "Good." Maya hesitated. "She asked me to tell you she's sorry." I responded. "She's not sorry she did it. She's sorry because I caught her." Months passed. I moved into a smaller place across town. No memories tied to anything. I started going to the gym again, picked up hiking on weekends, tried things I'd always said I didn't have time for. The silence didn't feel empty anymore, just quiet, manageable. Some mutual friends still checked in once in a while. I'd say I was doing fine. And I meant it, because the win wasn't humiliating her or getting the last word. The win was walking away with my peace intact. No rage, no revenge, just distance. And sometimes that's all you need. Not to burn bridges, but to walk across them, alone, steady, and without looking back. Thank you for watching.